I had seen my brother-in-law sniffing my dirty panties many times. I knew what my brother-in-law wanted from me. That day, I deliberately left my bra in the washroom and went out. As soon as my brother-in-law entered, I looked secretly and felt embarrassed because my brother-in-law held my bra in his hand. My husband was a good person. He was busy most of the time. I had a 14 or 15-year-old brother-in-law who was studying in school. My husband told me that in his absence, my brother-in-law did all the work. He would get up in the morning and make breakfast for himself and his elder brother. On Sundays, he would turn on the washing machine and wash clothes. 2 days later, he would clean the entire house. He would bring dinner from outside. He was good at studying. So, if he made tea for himself at night, he would also make it for his brother. I was surprised to hear this. That simple, innocent boy was quite hardworking. Then my husband held my hand and said that my brother was very young when his parents left us in an accident. I started working to support myself and my brother. My brother never got the love of his parents. He grew up by the grace of Allah. And now he is taking care of me. I just earn money. But my 14 or 15-year-old brother knows very well how to build a house. Now that you have come, take care of him. Give him love like your younger brother or son. I listened to all these things silently and told my husband not to worry and I will take care of everything. But the truth was that I was a little angry that my husband was praising his brother. Well, the next day I woke up late. When I saw him, my husband had gone. When I came out, I saw my brother-in-law making tea in the kitchen. These days, his exams were taking place and he was studying hard. Seeing this, an idea came to my mind and I felt it was necessary to act immediately. Junaid. I called him with love. Yes, brother too. He immediately replied politely. His eyes were downcast. I could also see fear on his face. I heard that you make very good breakfast. I also want to have breakfast from your hand. Will you make me breakfast? Hearing my words, he raised his head in surprise and looked at me. There was surprise in his eyes. You sit down. I will make it now. He was happy and then happily started making breakfast. My plan had been successful. I took a sip and returned to my room and lay down on my bed and started playing my mobile. 10 to 15 minutes later, Junaid was there with a hot breakfast. My hunger had increased in an instant. The smell was very good. I said praisingly, "Brother, you should eat it first and then tell me how this paratha is made and the omelette too." There was a smile on his face like an innocent child. I laughed in my heart. He left and I had a delicious breakfast. After that, I fell asleep again. When I woke up, it was bedtime. It was summer and I didn't feel like making anything anymore. I left the room thinking something and went towards Junaid's room. He was reading. I told him that the breakfast was very good. Now you can make it too. Make biryani. Your brothers also eat it with gusto. And I will also taste the biryani made by your hand. After that, I have to do all the work myself. Hearing this, concern appeared on his face. Brother-in-law. He is actually my tomorrow's paper. Well, let's try. I knew that he could not avoid me in any way. What kind of officer would he become after reading and writing? After telling him about biryani, I went shopping with my friend. When I returned 3 hours later, the whole house was sparkling. I understood. Cleanliness was my brother-in-law's weakness. He could not see the house dirty. And then this routine of mine turned out to be. Often, my husband would go and have breakfast. Often, I would make it and often my brother-in-law. He had also completed his matriculation. Now, if he was free, he would also do all the housework. Because I used to sleep immediately after breakfast and get up and clean my room. My brother-in-law also made dinner, and when my husband came, I would make bread and tea too, which made my husband think I was doing all the work. After a week, my brother-in-law would wash the clothes. He would do all the work silently. My brother-in-law was now going to college. He had grown even taller. But now I would make him do the work. He didn't need to tell him. Now he often came home late. One day he came to me and said that I have to pay the fees tomorrow. You should talk to your brother at night. I will come home a little late. Hearing this, my eyebrows furrowed as he had to give him money now. The college fees must be at least 1 lakh, right? And I didn't want my husband to give so much money to his brother for nothing. So I didn't tell my husband in the evening, and in the morning, my brother-in-law asked about the fees. I lied and said that your brother was saying that he was currently short of money. That's why the money couldn't be arranged. Hearing this, my brother-in-law got worried. His mouth hung open and he left silently. I breathed a sigh of relief. And after that, the brother-in-law did not speak to my husband again. Time passed. I also became busy with my life, and so did the brother-in-law. However, I still used to put him to work whenever I found the brother-in-law free. I was not used to working from the beginning. Rather, let's say I was a workaholic. I had thought that I would go to my in-laws and hire a maid. But here I had found a brother-in-law who worked for free. So what was the need for that maid now? Whenever my husband was home, I would make an excuse of being unwell and my husband would bring food from outside that day. I was living exactly the life I wanted. My brother-in-law would now return at 10 or 11 at night. And when I woke up in the morning, the kitchen would be clean. Because at night, the brother-in-law would wash all the dishes and clean the kitchen before going to bed. I didn't need to say anything. One day, my husband asked the brother-in-law, "Where do you stay until late at night?" To this, the brother-in-law said that I teach tuition. The brother-in-law replied in a blunt tone and left. At first, I was afraid that the brother-in-law might mention the fee. Because I often took money from my husband in the name of the brother-in-law. Time passed. The brother-in-law had grown up now. He went out of the city for some work. And only I knew how difficult I had spent those 2 months. I had to do the whole job. Which was not my thing. I had just come to my senses. How did the brother-in-law manage to go home? There were stickers on everything. Now the dishes were scattered everywhere. Time flew by like this. The brother-in-law disappeared from the house for a long time. Sometimes I would talk to the brother-in-law on the phone, and he would say that I am staying with my sister-in-law's friend in Rawalpindi and will come back as soon as my studies are over. 5 years passed. My husband would occasionally go and meet her. And then one day the brother-in-law returned. I was happy to come to his house for the first time. I treated him well. I fed him good food and took care of him in every way. My brother-in-law also looked very happy. He had already brightened up a lot. When evening came, I saw my brother-in-law ironing his clothes. I told him that I am not feeling well. Today you should iron your brother's clothes too. My brother-in-law heard this and said that sister-in-law will have to pay tax for this work and the file will also have to be submitted. Hearing this, I laughed. I thought he was joking. So I said that it was okay. I will pay the tax. My brother-in-law ironed all the clothes. And then as soon as evening came, I had no idea that this was going to be the most terrifying night of my life. As soon as evening came, my brother-in-law came to my room and said that let's go, sister-in-law, submit the file. He was quite serious. But I was surprised that which file was he talking about. It seemed, which file? I asked in surprise. You will know this only when you reach the office. My brother-in-law replied with the same seriousness. If this is a joke, I don't have time at all. I have to go somewhere, I said carelessly and walked out of the room carrying my bag. But my brother-in-law stepped forward and grabbed my arm with a jerk. It was like I was electrocuted. My brother-in-law, who had never looked at me, touched me today. And it was a big deal. What kind of rudeness is this? Let go of my arm, I said while growling. I will let go. But first, let's settle all the accounts. My brother-in-law's manner was such that a shiver ran down my spine. I tried hard to free myself, but my brother-in-law pulled me and started taking me towards the room. I was scared and now I was telling him that your brother will be angry with you if he sees you misbehaving with me. But he didn't listen to me. He took me to his room and slapped me hard. This slap was because you always deceived your brother. He had turned red with anger. I was shocked. Then he picked up a file and sneezed in front of me. This is the description of the business you are doing secretly. You will have to pay whatever tax is due on your account. I did not understand what he was saying. And look at this. I am an income tax officer. I know you are involved in wrongdoings. But before the income tax people take you away, pay the tax silently. He showed his card in front of me and I was shocked. He had really become an officer. He was absent from home for such a long time because he was on training. And in this file there is all the accounts that you took money from your brother in my name. And you have to pay me all of it today. I was looking at my brother-in-law with blank eyes. I wonder how he came to know about my business. Although I did all the work very secretly. You know, when you first came to this house, I considered you not even a brother-in-law but a mother. I was a child hungry for love. I was tired of working with my delicate hands. But what did you do? You made me a servant. Tears came to my brother-in-law's eyes. And my head bowed. I knew that if I refused, you would hate me. You would incite your brother against me. That's why I silently accepted everything you said. What kind of mirror was she showing me today? I was like I was buried in the ground. If you wanted, you could have kept me doing it but you didn't. You were getting everything for free. Well, this is not the time for these things. My office people have given me this file. They wanted to arrest you. I begged them that I would stop you. Because I don't want my brother to be disgraced because of you. And as soon as I heard this, I burst into tears. I don't know why my heart had become stone. I was greedy. I started a business secretly from my husband on the advice of my friend.